Hello and welcome back everyone to a brand new video. I am your host Jay Ritchie, and I cannot tell you how absolutely ecstatic I am that you would choose to spend a few minutes of your day here with me. Without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Today's news segment comes from the dailymail.com. We have another chapter in the Andrew Tate saga. Police investigating Andrew Tate's sex allegations carry out fresh raids across Romania, seizing files and computer equipment from the social media star and his brother's girlfriend's property. In a series of swoops across Bucharest and elsewhere in Romania, police seized paperwork and computer equipment from various properties said to be connected to the Tate, including the home of his brother Tristan's girlfriend. So let me rephrase that for you guys. They raided and completely searched the Tate Brothers property. They didn't find anything. So they said, all right, well, we didn't find anything here. Let's go look elsewhere. They are looking to try to find anything they can pin on these brothers. Now, mind you, 2 out of the 6 of the quote unquote alleged victims have come forward saying that they are not victims and they have never filed any form of criminal complaint against the Tate brothers. That's 33% of the alleged victims saying that they're not victims. Now, some people are going to say that that's not a substantial number. It's only 2 of them. But let me phrase this another way. If somebody made you a meal and then they told you that 33% of it was poisoned, but the rest of it was perfectly fine, would you eat that meal? The answer is no, because you know that 33% is a substantial amount, and that would not be something you would be willing to risk. The first question you would have is, well, why would you do that? Why would you decide to poison that meal? So I'm very curious to see what the end result is going to be for these other quote unquote, the 4 quote unquote alleged victims. So the brothers were held as part of a huge investigation into claims that several women had been trafficked and the R word by Luton-born Tate and his brother as part of an organized criminal empire. We have a couple photos of them being hauled off into court. A statement issued by the director for the investigation of organized crime and terrorism said this morning the prosecutors of DICOT, Central Structure, in the continuation of the investigation, in this case regarding the commission of the crimes of constituting an organized criminal group, human trafficking, and the R word, implement 7 home search warrants within the radius of Bucharest municipality and countries in Prahova. I believe that's how you pronounce that. So basically, like I said earlier, they didn't find anything, so they're going to continue looking, and they're going to be going farther and farther away from more and more different degrees of separation from the Tate brothers. We make it clear that during the entire criminal process, the investigated persons benefit from the procedural rights and guarantees provided by the Code of Criminal Procedure, as well as the presumption of innocence. That last line right there, the presumption of innocence, that is laughable. As I've stated before, I'm no expert in the Romanian legal system, but at least here in America, someone saying you did something isn't enough to keep you in prison. There actually has to be proof. One of the homes that was searched was that of the Romanian kickboxer and cage fighter Vlad Abu, with paperwork and computers seized and taken away. They have a couple photos of the compound as well as what the inside of that looks like. Meanwhile, Mail Online can also reveal that one of the 2 women dubbed Tate's Angels, who were arrested at the same time, is being given compassionate leave from custody. Former police officer Luana Radu, 32, had been given a 3-hour license so that she can attend the funeral of her grandmother in Bucharest later on Thursday. That's unfortunate to hear. She quit the force 8 years ago to focus on sex video chat room work with Georgiana, and investigators say both of them had a role to, quote, coerce and control other women involved in business. Tate, 36, a British U.S. citizen who has 4.5 million followers on Twitter, was detained on December 29th in Bucharest along with his brother Tristan and 2 Romanian women. They have a couple photos of the said women. On Tuesday, a court upheld a judge's December 30th move to extend their arrest from 24 hours to 30 days. In a separate hearing Wednesday at a Bucharest tribunal, Tate lost an appeal that challenged the asset seizure by prosecutors, including properties and a fleet of luxury cars. So basically, what they're doing is they're keeping these brothers in prison for an additional 30 days, and they're going around and seizing all of their property. Prosecutors investigating the case have so far seized 15 luxury cars, 11 in December raids, and 4 last week, at least 7 of which are owned by the Tate brothers, and more than 10 properties and land owned by the companies registered to them. They've got a picture of Tate's Bugatti, which he's very well known for. Bolo said that it is not clear whether any assets seized since December were included in Wednesday's appeal. If prosecutors can prove that the Tates gained money through human trafficking, Bolo said that the assets could be used to cover the expenses of the investigation and compensation for the victim. So essentially, what they're doing is they're taking a preemptive movement so that they can fund this case and fund the victims for if the Tate brothers are determined to be guilty of these alleged crimes. Before the court ruling Wednesday, Constantine, one of the lawyers representing Tate, told the media that the asset seizures are disproportional to the charges. Uh, yeah, I mean, at least one of these cars is at least several $1 million. I can't imagine that they would need to have 15 luxury cars worth, each one of them worth several $1 million, and that be enough to, I mean, that seems like it would be more than enough for them to fund whatever investigation they're doing and make sure that the alleged victims, if they are proven to be true, are made sure that they're compensated accordingly. DICOT says that it has identified 6 victims. False. It has said that it has identified 6, 2 of which have come forward and said that they are not victims. 4 of them we have not heard anything from yet. They has identified 6 victims in the human trafficking case who were subjected to, quote, acts of physical violence and mental coercion and were sexually exploited by the members of the alleged crime group. The agency said the victims were lured by the pretense of love and then later intimidated, kept under surveillance, and subjected to the control tactics while being coerced into performing in pornography, and that was intended to make money for their alleged prosecutors. Tate, a former professional kickboxer who reportedly lived in Romania since 2017, was previously banned from various prominent social media platforms for expressing misogynistic views and hate speech. Now, I just want to clear something up because I've been seeing a lot of things going around the internet, and it seems like people are using different definitions, and that's why there's been a lot of confusion because people are arguing the exact same point, but they're using words that mean different things. So if we go to Webster's dictionary here and we look up the definition of misogynistic, it says feeling, showing, or characterized by hatred of or prejudice against women. So it's basically someone that hates women. Now, if we go to the definition of hate speech, also by Webster, it's speech expressing hatred of a particular group of people. Now, I'm not seeing 100% of everything that Andrew Tate has produced, but what I have seen is him telling young men to get strong, take care of yourself and your family, become better men. And they point out certain hypocrisies that modern women exhibit. A perfect example of this is the quote, modern, strong, independent woman wanting a traditional man, but not being a traditional woman herself. What is wrong with pointing out that hypocrisy? The answer is that it goes against the status quo of the alleged female empowerment movement. A lot of women, and again, this is not every single woman across the board, but there is a group of women that only want equality. There's a group of women that want equality only when it benefits them. They don't want to take all of the negative parts of equality. They want to have all the benefits of being a woman, and then they want to have the equality part of being a man. I'd like to point out that while the media is flipping out over the Tate's alleged quote unquote human trafficking charges, we still don't know any of the names from Maxine's little black book for the Jeffrey Epstein Island. This was a huge miscarriage of justice. The mainstream media does not care about justice. They just want a crucifixion of an individual that doesn't align with their worldview. Now, I'm going to say this very carefully. All women should be heard, but not all women should be believed. And I'm going to say that again because it's probably going to get this video shadow banned on all the platforms that I posted on, but it is the truth and it needs to be said. All women should be heard, but not all women should be believed. Now, I've actually had this in personal conversations with individuals, and the common response that I get is, well, what if you had a daughter? And I agree. That is a very good response, but let me ask you this question. What if you had a son? Would you be okay with some woman claiming your son did these terrible crimes while offering zero evidence and there being no accountability? I know me personally, I would not. That exact same scenario happens way too often. We're going to go over to the Daily Wire. Because the Daily Wire did a fascinating documentary on this back in 2018, and it was 35 times that men were falsely accused of sexual assault. I'm not going to go through every single one of them. If you want to, you can feel free to go check out the website yourself, but there were a couple that I wanted to highlight. Jackie Coakley infamously told Rolling Stones that she had been gang R-word by fraternity brothers at the University of Virginia. In reality, no such thing occurred. Coakley invented the R word and used a fake text messaging service to convince her friends he existed. Oh, got a bit of a pop-up here. convinced their friends that he existed in order to make one of them jealous. The accusation was a black mark for the magazine and led to 3 settlements with those defamed by Coakley's accusation. Ligna Filler told police that her husband, Vladek, sexually assaulted her and her children while the couple were going through a bitter divorce. Vladek spent years in jail until he was exonerated in 2015. He sued the people who handled the case and he settled for $375,000. Good for him. He deserves every single penny of that and more. The Mean Girls from Scenic High School. KS and CS claimed that a male classmate sexually assaulted them and their friends. Megan Villages, ES, and HR backed up their claims. 3 of the girls later admitted they lied, but the boy had to leave school after being bullied as a quote-unquote predator. One of the girls said that she accused him simply because she didn't like him. Jane Roe. John Doe and Jane Roe, both pseudonyms, obviously, had previously shared a bed, meaning they slept together. One night, the two engaged in sexual activity. Jane continued to send John friendly texts about their relationship, but John wasn't interested. Okay, so he hit it and quit it. After Jane saw him at a party with another woman, Jane accused him of sexual assault. The college expelled John Doe, but then later settled. There was another incident at the Colorado State University. A friend of Jane Roe saw hickeys on her neck and accused Grant Neal, who used his real name in the lawsuit, of sexual assault. Jane Roe tried to stop the accusation. It was recorded by Neal telling people involved in the investigation that she wasn't raped, but Neal was expelled anyway. And then he settled with the school. Jessica Gallagher. Gallagher met a man on a dating app, and after he refused to give her a ride home, she told the police that he abducted, blindfolded, and then R-worded her. She was charged with filing a false report. And the list goes on and on and on and on. This is a serious problem because this is one of the instances where people say you automatically have to believe all women. And that is not the case. As I said it before, all women should be heard, but not all women should be believed. Personally, I believe the consequences for a false allegation should equal the punishment if the crime committed actually happened. Let me give you an example. If you accuse somebody of a crime and the punishment is 10 years in prison, and it comes out that the crime not only didn't happen, but that you falsified the crime, you should be the one that serves 10 years in prison. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, if you have that law passed, or if that's the case, you're going to have less victims come forward. Yes, that might be the case. But at the same sense, you are going to have a lot less innocent men getting their lives absolutely destroyed. When you get accused of R-word or sexual assault or something like that, even if it gets proved that you didn't do it, your reputation is trashed. You can't put that back in the box. That once that's out there, there is nothing that you can do to restore your reputation. You will always be known as the individual that allegedly did that. But guys, I'm curious to hear what your opinion is. This concludes the video for today. But remember, all you beautiful people, be better. Go to the gym. Tell someone you love them. Like, share, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss the next video tomorrow. I post a new one every single day, and I'll see you all.